All right, hello everybody. It's Saturday, October 26th of 2024. We're using OBS Studio to record the screen here, and I have the hotkeys set so I can pause by hitting Alt, and I can restart by hitting Alt T, and if I hit Alt R, it'll stop the recording. Looking at Blender, this is an area of the Hadza people in Tanzania, and we're looking at biodigesters being put along the trail and in certain dwelling spaces, and that's fine for that project. We also want to use this project to model the High Atlas Foundation, the greenhouse that's there. So I'm going to start a new Blender file, and it's just going to be general, and I'll save these so I can just get back. So here's a new Blender file, and I will call it the, let me go up here and call it the High Atlas project site shape file exports. We might as well just give it its own name and call it HAF Cemetery Greenhouse, and then say save as. And then in here, there's a couple of different ways one can do this. Usually we go up to GIS when you have Blender GIS installed. You go to Web Geodata and you get a base map. But here we're going to do an import from QGIS, which gets exciting. So I'm right-clicking here. I have my data. I've got my place right here. And I want to get a really high-resolution map. And this looks like the most high resolution I can get. We can check the SRE and see if it comes in. Nope, it's not available. SRE is not available, that resolution, but Google Hybrid is. So we will use that. And when we are on this terrain, we're going to go to Project and go to Import, Export, and then Export Map to Image. And we'll choose this map canvas extent here, and then say Save. And then we will save it, and let me go up here into the HAF project site, and we'll save this photograph as the cemetery. And now it's been exported as a, I don't know what I just exported it as. Let me try this again. I don't think I did that right. So export to map to image, make sure it's the map canvas extent, say save. It'll come in. Okay, I did pick a TIF. So this one here is a TIF, and that is fine. So if it did work, when I come in here and I go to GIS now and go to import, I can go to a georeferenced raster and now find the project in the lecture photos, I think it is. And let's do the date modified. No. Interesting. Where did I save it? So let me go back. That's always a thing. If your brain isn't functioning, you go back and see. I did an import export image. I picked the map extent. I said save, and it should be an HAF project site photos. So when I go here, I should be able to find it under HAF project site photos. And then when I go to date modified, there's the cemetery TIF, and it comes in Blender. All right, so now you can come in and you can add your 30-meter map now by going up to Web Geodata and saying get elevation using your open topography shuttle radar topography mission information if you have your key, but it's not going to let us bring that in here. That's not good. Why is that? So is it because it's too, it might be because it's too small an image. That is certainly possible. If we, yeah, I think it's because it's too small an image. So I can keep this layer in here, but to get the actual image in, I should do something that is a little bigger, like that, which has some topographical information. There's the cemetery, and there's the region it's in. So it won't hurt us to have all of this valley data here, and go ahead and do that again. So export map to image, pick the map canvas extent, which is now much larger, say save, and then I can call this cemetery region, and I'll get a bigger map there. So I can come into here and I can import that as another image. And you'll see that came in very big. And then I can go into my top view and go to Web Geodata and get the elevation. Hopefully this time, no, still isn't working. So hard to know why. So if I click on cemetery and zoom in, you'll see that the cemetery image is superimposed on that map. And it is a much better resolution, so we can get the regional resolution and get the cemetery resolution. I'm baffled as to why we're not getting the Web Geodata elevation, because normally it would simply work, and it's not working now. Sometimes that happens, and let me see if I get an even larger area. So let's go for this, which includes Marrakesh. I think it's way too big, but not bad to have several different maps that we are able to use to get the situation of where everything is. So let's just call this HAF from Marrakesh to cemetery. So there's a bigger region, and bring that into Blender. Not import that way, but import here. And now that comes in. And then the question is going to be, is this going to be able to bring in the Web Geodata elevation? No, still having a problem. Now, it may be that it's just a situation where we have to restart Blender. Sometimes that happens. So let's do that, because you never know what's causing the problems here, because it was working a little while ago. So there's open recent, and I guess I'm not seeing it. Cemetery greenhouse. That's one I just did. Okay, cemetery green. So now let's try it again and see if the Web Geodata comes in. Nope, ain't coming in. Another way to go about this is to go to the map here and go to base map and take the Google satellite. And from this, hit G for go to, and then put in the coordinates, which we can get, if not off of this, then we can certainly go, and this is probably good for you to know anyway, you can go to maps.google.com and then go to, I think it's called Akhraj, and it's in Tamaslut, Morocco. So we can go there, zoom in on Tamaslut, and find our cemetery. I don't think it's this cemetery there. Let's go back to our QGIS model, and let's go to our project site by zooming. Oh, let's zoom to layer. That's unfortunate. So where is it? So part of the problem is that this was based on a database that I brought in, and it seems to be disconnected from the database. So let me show you that. Let's just re-bring that in. So if I do a create layer as a, or add layer as a text delimited layer, and I find the database that has all my points in it, and it seems like it got lost in here. So HAF, there's JS photos, there is the High Atlas Mountain shapefile export, there's maps. Let me see where our database is. Boundary maps and dot data. That's spreadsheets and attribute tables. There are HAF project sites. So I do have a table. If I bring that in and I tell it that the X field is longitude and the Y field is latitude, and then I add this to the map, then I get an HAF project sites that should have an attribute table that can be opened. Yes, it is. And then I should be able to go to Akhraj, to the Garir project area, Hotel Semirasis, path to party. Somewhere there's Akhraj and Tamaslut. So when I click on that and I go to zoom to feature, now we should have, there's that little yellow dot, and that takes us right to there. So then to find it in the context of all of Thomaslut to get a coordinate, I can now go to look at this map area and now go to here and let's see if we can find accurate. Is there? There it is. Okay, so this is the cemetery right there. So now that we've located the cemetery, you can right click and get the decimal degree coordinates, bring them into Blender and pop them into here, put the zoom level to be about 20 and say OK, and there you go. So that is the cemetery there, and now I can take this portion of this, hit E for extent to cut it out, now go to the get elevation and hope that this time we don't have a problem. And indeed, it looks like it's going to work this time for that region. Be prepared for lots of problems whenever you're working with any of these computer programs. Oh, it says it can't reach open topography for some reason. So something's going wrong today just with the open topography SRM. It says it can't reach it, and it was looking so promising, but we are, I don't know if it's an internet problem or their site is down or it's overcrowded. Sometimes when it spins like that, it is communicating, and yet today it says it cannot reach it to get the elevation information. All right, well, that's too bad, but it doesn't mean that we are out of unable to do anything, because we can zoom in now. We got a big map here. I think the problem with all of this now is that we have this one, we have the cemetery region that we dropped onto it, and we have the cemetery itself, which is really fine data, and then we have this Google map, which appears way down here, I guess. So they're not synced up, probably because of elevation data. And this happens sometimes. So we're not getting the elevation on this because we're unable to bring it in. But we do have this, and we do have this, and that's good enough for a start right now. Because what we want to do is ultimately model this information. There also should be, if we do the export properly, we also should be able to get some of the data. So if I go to HAF project sites and I go from here, go export, and save this feature as an S3 shapefile, because Blender won't take a geo package, and call this cemetery and select the fields to export. So save only selected features. So I'm going to do everything in terms of the data, but I want to save only the selected features, and that means that the feature, let me go out of this for a second and select the feature, because I have a lot of things. So that one is selected, it's yellow. That's the one right there. So when I go here and I go to export and save the feature as, and call it cemetery point, and I can say automatic for everything else, but save only selected features, then I should have gotten, let me make sure I know where it went actually. So let me do this again, export, save feature as, I gave it a file name, but I gave it a place. So, oops, cemetery feature. It needs to go somewhere where we can find it, and I don't want it in documents. I want it in the shapefile exports. And cemetery feature is now going to go into there, and then say OK. So then when I go back to Blender, I should be able to go and say import shapefile and then find my shapefile cemetery feature, and it comes in as a point. It's just not on the landscape properly. So I'm going to bring it up a little bit there. So there's the point. That's the point feature. So it is geotagged from right there, the entrance to the cemetery. Not that that's neither here nor there, but that's how you would get a feature onto the landscape that you'd already put in. All right, so what we're going to work with then, as we brought this stuff in from QGIS, is we're going to work on building these buildings and modeling them so that we can do a fly-through and a walkthrough. All right, thanks so much for watching.